PlayStation 5 is on the way, and Sony will skip E3 again.
Okay.
Good. So Sony's not going to be at E3, even though they're going to have a PS5 this year. They're going to have a new console, and they're just like, you know what? Forget it. We don't need you.
On the one hand, it's kind of surprising because they have a PS5 coming out, and I'm sure they have a lot of games that they would want to announce. Because last year they didn't really have a whole lot, so it made sense to skip E3. But at the same time, they probably saw that skipping E3 did not affect their metrics or their financial forecasts in any way, shape, or form. So they decided, hey, let's do it again this year, even though we're launching a major system and need people to know about it.
It's a major waste of money. And they probably had some like disagreements with the ESA.
Probably.
Because they're a mess.
Well, EA hasn't been there for years. I don't think Activision has been there for years. Nintendo has a booth, but they don't have, they don't do press conferences there anymore.
Right.
A lot of companies just don't go there.
Yeah. I think that more companies should pull out of E3. I think it's a waste. I think it's a waste for a lot of people.
I think it's, it was there at one point it was great. And I think, the dream of going to E3 though is just, it's not a dream worth having anymore. It used to be this like great elusive thing that like only the elite get to go to, but having been to it twice, it's a pain in the ass. It's not fun. Also, they doxed people.
Yes. Well, so they opened, like, once we started going, they like started to open it up to everybody.
Yeah.
And then more and more like Gamer Pass people started to come in, and it wasn't set up for the general public.
Yeah,
it was set up for media.
They opened it up to more people, but they still treated it like it was for like this super elite group. So like you can't bring in a camera or a backpack. Things you do at cons regularly.
That's it was this weird mix of people, and like lines were insanely longer because they wanted to give press more time to play the games, but then you had general public coming in, so lines were insanely long. Mm-hmm. Like you said, certain people weren't allowed to bring cameras, and the security staff didn't know who was and who wasn't. Yeah. On some days you were allowed to bring a backpack. On other days you weren't allowed to bring a backpack. It was an absolute mess. And if you're there to cover the show, you get screwed because they opened it up to the general public and didn't have it set up to be open to the general public. Yeah. I think PAX is a way better show because it's open to the general public and set up to be open to the general public.
Yeah, PAX is set up by ReedPop, who's your New York Comic-Con, C2E2, Star Wars Celebration. They know how to run conventions.
Yes.
So they know how to do something like this. The ESA, they've been putting on E3 for like 20 years at this point, but they're not really a convention company. They're a lobbying group. So the fact that they put together this convention is just a byproduct of what they normally do.
And they doxed everybody, which is the icing on the cake. That should prove that they don't know what they're doing, and the convention should absolutely die. I don't know why anybody, like any journalist or influencer, is even going to go back after that.
I don't know.
They
not only doxed everybody, they weren't really apologetic about it.
Not at all. But also,
they were just like, oops.
Nobody really wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to draw attention to it, and I completely understand that. But yeah, I'm not going back because of that, but also because it doesn't help. Like, I like to go because I like to meet people. I think it's fun to make the videos that we do.
Yeah.
But it's not like the videos do very well, and we can make better, or not. We can make content that does well from our own homes.
We can. Yeah,
and it'll be a lot easier.
We can do similar videos from home. The only difference is, we wouldn't be able to talk about how it felt to play the game.
Well, I like that sort of like higher budget, like we're here, like it changes up the format of our normal videos. Yeah, I like that. But they don't do better than normal videos. I bet you if we covered it from home, the videos would do better because we'd have more time to make the videos. It's just more fun to be there.
Yeah.
So so screw E3. I hope more companies pull out, and I hope that more influencers and journalists pull out as well, because there's no reason to give the ESA any more money. There are better conventions, and even PAX. Nintendo brings new games. They've been bringing new games every year.
Yeah,
their booth at PAX is just as good as their E3 booth. So screw E3. I hope it does, and I hope it starts with PlayStation pulling out.
Well, if Sony's pulling out completely, Microsoft and Nintendo now need to remove themselves completely.
Yeah.
Microsoft seems fairly committed to E3 for some reason.
Well,
so they're in another building.
Yeah, so I don't know if that, like, if they're trading any hands with the ESA for that.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's, like, a weird sort of, like, relationship there because they have another building. So,
well, yeah, the Microsoft Theater, they just happen to own that arena, a theater, rather.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, they use the same badges.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, couldn't I just do that? Couldn't I open a bar next door and be like, if you come in, you'll get free admission if I see your E3 badge?
Yeah.
You know, like, is there money changing hands there? Or did they just get free, like a free spot at E3 because they're next door?
No, I think, well, I don't know. I feel like because the E3 festivities are not just in the convention center, they're also like in the outside area.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and the Microsoft Theater is literally right next to the LA Convention Center. So I think, you know, they must have some deal where it's like, listen, we want to do our stuff in the theater that we own, but we still want to be associated with E3. So there's probably some deal that happens.
I think we need to look at
that.
I think we need to look at the marketing. If Microsoft is part of the E3 marketing, then there must be some money changing hands. But
well, they're all part of the E3 marketing because the ESA is the video game lobbying group, and pretty much every major video game publisher is a part of the ESA.
Well, what was there Sony stuff at like on billboards and like, you know, like,
I'm trying to remember. Well, like any third-party game that was going to be on PlayStation, you know.
Yeah. There's a lot of Ubisoft stuff we saw outside. There's a lot of Activision stuff. I mean, you're right though. They're all giving money to the ESA anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just this stupid convention.
Yeah.
I think that Microsoft might be already out of E3, just next to it. You know, they might have pulled out in like a weird sort of way.
Yeah. Well, Phil Spencer, when the news of Sony not going was announced, he tweeted, "Our team is hard at work on E3. We look forward to sharing with all who love to play what's ahead of us. Our art form has consistently been propelled by the cross-section of creativity and technical progress. 2020 is a milestone year in that journey for Team Xbox."
And that's after the news of Sony pulling out?
Yes.
It's a screw Xbox.
Well, okay, we say that now, but with Sony pulling out, it's only a matter of time before more and more companies start pulling out of E3. If it's not Nintendo and Microsoft, then it'll be Ubisoft and Capcom and Warner Brothers and Square Enix and all the other companies slowly pulling out until eventually there's nobody going to E3.
I think that is the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Jesse in the chat says, "I like E3. It's like a full week of video game news." I like it too. I like it for that reason.
Yeah.
I don't think you need a convention for that.
No.
And I think, well, as a point with the fact that the ESA is a lobbying group for all these video game companies, they could just agree that week is the week that they all announce stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And then right after that, James7851 says, "Sony must be embarrassed of PS5. I wouldn't say that. I think Sony knows that they're on top.
Yeah.
At least this console generation, and they could do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. I think Sony, if anything, like they know they have a hit on their hands with PS5. They're slowly releasing information about it until they're ready to release everything about it. You know, that's why they're already being like, oh yeah, we're developing PS5. Then a month or two later, oh yeah, it's gonna be a solid state drive, so the games will load faster. Then a month or two later, oh yeah, the controller is a little different. It's gonna have back buttons now. So they're slowly releasing information, whereas before it was we do not comment on rumors and speculation and crap like that.
I think it's better that way because people get disappointed when like a rumor comes out and it turns out not to be true.
Yeah.
Also, they'll get ahead of leaks. So
yeah,
and it gets people thinking about it. People they're like drip feeding information, so they're always in the news. You know.
Yeah.
And Microsoft's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So they're both right up there with each other. AJ says it's funny that people were calling Nintendo out of touch when they pulled out of E3 when in reality they were way ahead of the curve. They were doing the directs, you know, the video based presentation before anybody else was, which is insane for Nintendo to be, you know, a leader in that space. And at the time, people were like, that's crazy. They don't have a press conference. They must not have anything good to announce or anything.
Yeah.
I hope everybody does that now because it's way better.
Yeah. Nintendo is like they're leaders in like ways you don't expect. You know, something like pulling out of E3 and doing their own direct rather than a big press conference. Always with the games they develop, even with the hardware sometimes.
Are you going to say like?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you going to say like the motion controls and stuff?
Well, motion controls, even like with the Wii U, when the gamepad was announced, the next year, Microsoft unveiled Smart Glass. Sony re-announced that, hey, everything you can basically do that with the Vita and a PS3 and PS4.
I hate that because all right, Nintendo. It's very hit or miss when they have some like technological innovation, and the other companies cannot replicate it.
No,
it never works.
Yeah,
they got other companies can replicate the D-pad. That's about as close as they can get with Nintendo technology.
And even then, like they had to alter it in certain ways, so it didn't infringe on the patent, which they can infringe on now.
Motion controls haven't worked with other companies. The closest you got is the Move controller, but that's just out of necessity for VR.
Yeah.
And the gamepad wasn't a success for Nintendo, so it wasn't a success for anybody else. Yon Lee in the chat says, if no E3 anymore, there is still a game convention in the USA? Question mark. PAX.
PAX.
Go to PAX.
Well, I think because E3 used to be the one video game convention, and like in Japan it's Tokyo Game Show, in Germany it's Gamescom. Here E3 was the one convention, and then like PAX or like all these other things were like smaller conventions, but now PAX is the convention, and there's 4 PAXs in the United States.